Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the Mission Workshop and Carryology Mars Project Collaboration. The intro for this one's going to be a little bit longer, so if you want to jump ahead to the review, I'll include time codes in the description below. Some of the backstory for this is actually the first Mission Workshop bag that I've had a chance to test out. I've always been curious, I've heard great things about their bags, and this one finally inspired me to just kind of take the plunge. And I also just really like anything that's NASA and space related. I've always thought it's really cool. Carryology released an article not too long ago talking about a project that Mission Workshop did in collaboration with NASA, where they designed backpacks that the astronauts that would be on the surface of Mars would be using. And so it was very cool to read about some of the challenges that Mission Workshop had to think through as they were designing something to survive in such a harsh environment. And so this bag is kind of inspired by that. The design is a little bit different. This is of course meant for a very different use case, but still a lot of interesting choices here. And so I was excited to have a chance to finally dive into it. It was a little bit of a journey to get this bag because it was actually delivered to the wrong address by UPS at some point, and Mission Workshop had to send me another one. So this review is coming out later than intended. And it's always interesting with the collaboration bags. I know that it's kind of difficult to watch the videos sometimes because you can't easily purchase these bags from the site. If you want to get them, you can find them on the Carryology Facebook group. You can pick them up secondhand if you want to. I always like sharing my experience with these just in case there's people who are curious to see what the hype is around these collaboration bags, to hear what the experience is in case there's one that you want to check out in the future. And, it just gives me an opportunity to, try out something that's a little bit more niche, futuristic. And so, it's just exciting for me as a bag reviewer to share that with you. And so, excited to dive in. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel, we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, the bag definitely has a very distinct look. Mission Workshop in general has a very unique style. They have a lot of roll top bags, plenty of straps, attachment points. They're a very functional looking bag. It's a little different than the style that I tend to gravitate towards. Not very minimal. And then the collaboration version just kind of takes it up a notch, makes it feel even more futuristic and otherworldly. So, that's definitely meant to be the case, given that this is inspired by the backpacks that astronauts would be carrying on Mars. So it fits the use case and it's unique. That's one of the cool things about this, is just it's going to be very different. It's going to turn heads, call attention. As I've worn it, I can see that people are kind of curious about the bag because it just feels so different, especially if you get the white version, the all white. It definitely pops. I like the black coloring, of course. That's my typical style, but it's a look that I think is gonna still work well in a more urban setting, for commuting, for exploring. If you're traveling, I'd be a little bit more worried just because it looks like such a nice bag, and then this isn't something that I would necessarily want to take into the office. But in general, I do appreciate how different the bag feels. And then as far as the materials, this feels very solidly built. The exterior fabric is Ultra, which I've been talking about in a couple of different reviews recently. Many bags are starting to use this fabric, which is really popular because of its durability, the weight, and the weather resistance that it offers. So it makes sense that it would be on a backpack like this, meant to handle the elements, feels super rugged. All the bags that I've used with this fabric have held up very well. And then the bag also just has really high quality hardware all throughout. All the straps and attachment points feel very durable. You have the fidlock buckles on the front, and then of course the very well protected YKK zippers all throughout. Continuing along the outside of the bag, there's no external water bottle pockets. On the sides and on the front, you have the rail system that is part of Mission Workshop's modular ecosystem. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the organizational options. So not a whole lot going on as far as pocketing, handles. You do have a handle at the top, a very simple handle. I was surprised that it wasn't something a little bit more robust, just given the collaboration and the rest of the style of the bag. So very simple webbing here. You can use it to pick the bag up or hang it when you need to. And then you have this compression strap along the front with the fidlock buckle, which does kind of factor into the roll top. So we'll take a closer look at that later. And then beyond that, on the sides, you also have the Velcro patch areas with the 2 included patches as part of the collaboration, which are quite cool. On one side, you have this Astronaut patch, and on the other side, you have kind of the Mars Mission Workshop Collaboration patch. And so both of these are really cool in my opinion. That's always one of the distinguishing factors with the collaboration. It's very cool that 2 were included with this one, and then of course you can remove them if you don't want to use them, but I've just left them on there because I think that they look great and are very much in keeping with the spirit of the bag. And then the last thing I'll mention while we're talking about the exterior is that the bag does not stand up very well on its own, which I was a little bit surprised by because the bottom looked like it would be pretty flat and rigid, but it just tends to want to tip whenever I place it down. So, you'll want to lean this against something whenever you want to access the bag from the top. As far as the capacity, the bag comes in at about 24 liters. There is a little bit of flexibility with that due to the roll top. In general, this is a size that I'm a big fan of. Feels like a great middle ground for something that will be able to handle the items that I typically carry with me on a day-to-day basis, but leaving me a little bit of extra space without feeling overwhelmingly big and bulky. I did feel like the silhouette of this bag was a little bit taller, so that's something that you'll want to keep in mind depending on your height, but it does manage to stay fairly slim even when it's a little bit more packed out, making it great for navigating crowded areas, jumping onto public transit, and carrying onto a variety of domestic and international airlines. Moving into the harness system, so far the bag has been really comfortable to wear. This is one of the aspects of the bag that I was most excited to try out. The padding that's been included here feels very soft, comfortable. On the inside you have this great mesh to help prevent moisture from building up, and then these straps have load lifters to allow you to adjust how everything sits on your shoulders and really pull that weight close to your back, so you can adjust these pretty nicely. And then you have some strap management included here. Beyond that, you have an adjustable and removable sternum strap to help distribute the weight. And one of the cool things about this harness is that it's actually adjustable as far as the height. So you have this Velcro here, and one of the cool things that was called out in the Carryology article is you have Mission Workshop logo, Carryology logo, you have kind of the space shuttle or rockets diagram there. So, continuing with the theme, and then you can loosen this up, move the harness system to match the height that's going to work best for you. So, that's always nice to be able to really customize the bag to fit you as best as it can. And then as far as the back panel, this has also felt really great. Same padding that we saw on the straps, well distributed all throughout. Nice padding here on the lower back. And then in addition to the breathable mesh that it also has a little bit of elevation, so you'll have some air channels to give you ventilation while you're walking around throughout the day. And then the last thing that I'll mention here is that you do have a luggage pass-through that's going to allow you to rest this on a suitcase while traveling to save some weight on your back. Jumping into the organizational options, this is definitely an area where I felt underwhelmed. It just didn't match up well with my packing style and how I like to access my items while I'm on the go. And so the pocketing is fairly minimal. You have a couple of quick access pockets on the front, one here at the bottom, which I was really struggling to figure out what to place in here because this is a pretty small compartment, definitely smaller than I was initially expecting. Do have the nice zipper here with the zipper garage, but the placement and the amount of space that's offered, it just doesn't have a lot of volume. It's not very tall, so it feels like it's meant for some smaller cables. I have a deck of playing cards in here and the nail clipper set that I like to carry with me because it couldn't fit like my laptop charging brick, just felt super tight in there. It doesn't have any give and no additional, organization here. So I don't know, I was just kind of confused with what to do with this pocket. And so those were the items that I ended up placing. It's also close to the bottom, so you're placing the bag down. I didn't want to put anything too sensitive in here as well because it's not a really padded compartment. And then at the top, you have a quick access zippered pocket. And I was constantly annoyed that this buckle and strap were in the way of this pocket, that I actually had to release that to be able to access it. So it's not really a quick access pocket anymore once you have to start doing that. It's a fairly simple pocket. It does have a decent amount of volume. It goes about the height of my fingers here, as you can see, and I was able to store my AirPods in here. I have a cable to charge my tablet and my phone. Then I also have my sunglasses. Beyond that, no additional organization here. So a simple pocket, which would have worked fine for me if it just didn't have the strap in the way here. On the back near the harness system, there is a large vertical zipper that will allow you to access the dedicated laptop compartment. Good protection here. You have the zipper garage at the top. And then this was able to easily hold my 14-inch MacBook Pro. I believe that you can fit a 15 or 16-inch laptop in here. I imagine that the taller devices might start to get a little bit tight as far as getting it in and out easily, but for mine, it worked well. You have a decent amount of padding here, especially with the harness system there. This is pulled up off the bottom of the ground, so you have that protection when you place your bag down a little bit harder. And so pulling my device out, Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. No sort of fleece lining or anything like that. It does come up a decent amount, so if you happen to have a thicker device, you should be able to slide it in there fairly comfortable. And with the amount of padding that's included here and the fact that it's pulled up off the bottom of the ground, it feels like my device is going to be pretty safe while I'm on the move. Before moving into the main compartment and the roll top, I did want to come back around to this rail system. As part of the collaboration, Mission Workshop released a couple of pouches that you could attach to the bag. So they had 2 side pouches and 1 on the front. And I didn't end up purchasing those because they really didn't seem like the style of pouches that I would want to use regularly. I'm not super familiar with Mission Workshop's, organizational options, but the height and just the way that they looked on the site, they didn't really appeal to me, so I didn't end up getting them. And because of that, it did feel like the organization on the bag was limited. And I don't really mind bags that have minimal pocketing, but it just felt like with the layout here and the fact that I didn't get the pouches, I was struggling with how to kind of organize my stuff throughout the bag. I had to think about it more than I normally would. It's not easy to get to my stuff. And so I just definitely not something that was a good fit for me. Now, your experience may vary. I'll be curious to hear people's experiences in the comments. If you have a setup with Mission Workshop's ecosystem that you really like, if there's items that I should check out. But with this experience, I have to say I just wasn't a huge fan of the style. And then moving into this strap and the roll top. This strap was interesting because it just doesn't really feel like it does much in this position. You do have the ability to remove it actually if you want to. Mission Workshop also sells a Cobra style strap, which you can substitute this for if you prefer that over the Fidlock. Because of the additional cost, I just kept the default one. And the buckle itself works fine, and I guess you could use this strap to maybe just attach additional accessories, a jacket, or just anything that you want to kind of hang here. I didn't end up using this too much. And then, as I mentioned, it gets in the way of this quick access pocket. It really feels like this comes more into play as you get into the roll top section. And in general, I'm not a huge fan of roll tops. The implementation here is pretty good. You have this Velcro strap here that holds it in place, and then you can unroll it when you want to get that additional volume, and if you want to access the bag from the top, so you can see the extra space from what I just unrolled. So that's one of the nice things about roll tops, is that you do get that flexibility, also the additional weather resistance. And then if you want to expand it out, this attaches here to this extra square of Velcro, and then you can actually loosen the strap up here and expand it out because you have a pretty long length of strap here, and then combine it up at the top. And so you can thread that through, secure the strap, and then this will maintain the bag closed when it's expanded out a little more. And here's where you can use this to really secure the bag. The buckle starts to make more sense. You can release it if you want to open it. And so it's an interesting idea. It feels a little cumbersome, but some of those benefits might be worth the trade-off if you're somebody who's constantly kind of commuting outside, getting into rain, or if you want to have the flexibility. And then here you can see the Mission Workshop and Carryology label. I'm always a fan of the story and the collaboration, I have to say. And then the Made in the USA label, which is one of the cool things about Mission Workshop's bags. And I don't really use this as a top loader because I don't want to deal with kind of loosening the roll top up. I suppose if I place the bag down next to me, it can be helpful, but most of the time I found myself placing this down the way that I have it here at the moment and leveraging the zipper that goes around, and that you can access even when this is buckled up. So that was cool. And the orientation of this pocket was something that there's a lot of conversation about when the bag was announced, because it is opening in this direction versus what you would typically think with maybe a clamshell or a duffel style bag is opening in the other orientation. I think that this works pretty well as far as weather resistance because water's just sliding down. There's no buildup on the zipper at the top. If this was reversed, you can kind of see how that would happen. But it does make it a little bit more awkward to access this compartment if you do have the bag standing up. If this was flipped around in the other orientation, you'd have kind of a top loading way to access it, but here you can maybe have all your stuff start to fall out. So that's why most of the time when I've been using this, I just rest it, open this up, and then you have a pretty open space in this main compartment. before jumping into that, on the lid, on the other side of kind of this section here, you have an additional mesh zippered pocket. And so I think this was pretty well done because the volume for the outer pocket is near the top. The one for the inner pocket is near the bottom, so they're not kind of colliding into each other. And then nice material here, good elasticity. You can see what's on the inside. I just have my USB-C hub with the cables that I have with it. And then coming back around to this large open area, I have my typical modular setup here. At the top, I have the Evergood Civic Access pouch, 1 liter. And then I have my Beats Studio wireless headphones. I had to place my water bottle on the inside here. This is a 26-ounce Yeti Rambler because there's no external water bottle pockets. Then I have the Lockbee pouch that I've been using a lot as of late, the Evergood Civic Access pouch, 1/2 liter. And then at the bottom, I also have the Alpaca admin pouch and the Civic Access pouch, 2 liters. So you can hold quite a bit of stuff just due to the simple open layout. That's why I always like this style of bag. And now on the inside, you can get a better look. You have a little bit of additional organization here, a couple of slip pockets. On the back, you have a larger one that's gonna be a good spot for a tablet or maybe for separating out some clothes for the gym, some travel items. I have my iPad mini in there, it's pretty much swallowed up. And this isn't a padded sleeve or anything like that, just a place to separate. And then on each side, you have these taller elastic mesh pockets as well. In one of them, I placed my Apple Magic Mouse, but probably not a great fit for this compartment, just given how tall it is. This could probably be better for something like an umbrella. Probably could have put the water bottle in there if I didn't have such a large one. And then same style of pocket on the other side. In this one, I have my retractable HDMI cable as well as the Tom Bin Ghost Whale pouch. This does seem like a good area for those taller pouches. And yeah, very simple layout here. And with the amount of space that's provided, this is something that can work well for minimal travel. So I was able to easily fit my larger compressible packing cube, dop kit, extra pair of shoes, and a couple of items. And I would easily be able to use this for a longer weekend trip. So that's pretty much it. I like the amount of space and the simple layout of this main area, but the layout in the rest of the bag, I just couldn't get used to. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Definitely not my style. And although I really like kind of the uniqueness and the story of this collaboration, I think Mission Workshop makes very well-built products. This feels like something that's gonna hold up for a long time. It's comfortable, and if you like their style, if you like roll top bags, if you're in their ecosystem and you can pick one of these up secondhand, it could be an interesting bag to kind of mess around with. But in general, it's not my favorite of the collaborations that I've had a chance to test out. And so to wrap up, it's been a pretty good experience testing out the Mars Project Collaboration over the past couple of weeks. As with other Carryology collaborations, this is not easily available on Mission Workshop's site. If you want to get one of these, you'd have to get it secondhand from the Carryology Classifieds Facebook group or eBay. The original price for this was premium, coming in at around $545. And so that's something that kind of comes with the territory with these collaborations, and also the fact that this is made out of ultra fabric and that Mission Workshop manufactures their bags in the US. All of those things typically add up to a higher price. So, it feels like you get a lot of value, very solidly built bag for this price point. But of course, that's always relative, especially with some of these more limited edition bags. So, it'll really depend on your preferences and what you want out of a bag. But, it is a very solidly built bag if you want to invest in it. I haven't tried out other Mission Workshop bags. As I mentioned in the intro for the video, I know that in general, their bags are at a little bit of a higher price point. And although you can't get this exact version, I believe they have a couple of models that this was based off. So, you can check those out on the company's site. And as I was testing this out, this definitely made me think of some of the other great bags that I've used over the past few years, particularly from Air. Air, of course, had the Lunar Pack collaboration, which was sort of inspired by NASA. That was a collaboration with Ministry of Supply. One of my favorite bags of all time. It's not always available, but if you can grab it, it's a fantastic deal. It's one of my top recommendations. But if that's not available, Air just has an incredible variety of bags that are excellent alternatives to something like this, like the Air City Pack, which is now available in Ultra. So similar fabric at a more affordable price point. You get the clamshell style opening, water bottle pocket, great laptop protection, very comfortable. So, really, really great alternative if you prefer kind of a more clamshell style tech focused bag. This also made me think of some of the awesome options that GoRuck has been coming out recently with. They've been doing a lot with Dyneema, and I have the GR1, which I featured on the channel. They have the GR2 in Dyneema as well. Both of those are some of my favorite all-purpose bags. The layouts are super functional. They work well for EDC, for minimal travel. Very, very durable in that fabric. This also reminds me a little bit of the Wandered Provoke, which is one of the roll top bags that I come back to most regularly. I'm not crazy about roll tops in general, but that one is just a great camera bag. It offers so much durability, the tarpaulin exterior, the flexibility of the roll top. It's got the side access for the camera, water bottle pocket. Even though it's got a simple layout, I just feel like it's more effective than what was provided on this bag. And then of course, Wandered has a great ecosystem of accessories that you can pair with their bags. And then the other option that I would mention here is the CTB26, which is one of my favorite bags of all time. It originally came out as a Carryology collaboration. I have the X-Pack Phoenix version, which has continued to hold up well. That one's not readily available. You can probably pick that up secondhand, but they've released the 420D nylon versions, which are also fantastic. They actually, at time of filming, have done a second collaboration where they'll be releasing the CTB26 in wax canvas. So I'll be featuring that on the channel. Very excited to check that out. But in any fabric that you get, the layout on that one is one of the most functional and useful that I've tried out. It's also a very comfortable bag if Evergoods' harnesses happens to work for your body type. So, all of those are great alternatives to this. And, this just really isn't my style of bag. The organizational layout on this is not the type of thing that is gonna be my favorite in general. I'm not crazy about roll tops. And then it really felt like this was designed to pair with Mission Workshop's modular accessories. The organization was fairly limited, and it feels like to get the most value out of it, it would have been great to have those side pockets and the front accessory that they sold separately, which I didn't pick up. I don't know if that's how all of Mission Workshop's bags are, so if it is, let me know in the comments below what your experience has been with their bags, if there's other ones that I should check out, and also what you think about this collaboration. And as always, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.